So I finally got my dream indoor boom dialogue microphone, and it's been famously used on big movies like The Dark Knight and amazing TV shows like Breaking Bad. It's actually a staple in indoor dialogue on Hollywood sets all over the world. It's the Sennheiser MKH50. But was it worth the extra money? Let's dive in. Okay, so I actually have the Sennheiser MKH50 alongside my old pencil condenser microphone that I was using for indoor dialogue, the Audio-Technica AT4053B, and they're boomed right over me right now on a dual microphone stand made by Frameworks, and they're running through the F3 Zoom recorder using 32-bit flow. So they are actually exactly the same inputs, wavelengths. I'm looking at them right now. I can tell you right now by looking at the waveforms, the Audio-Technica actually doesn't need much gain to get equal waveforms compared to the Sennheiser. The Sennheiser did need to be boosted a bit more, so it's a little gain heavy or gain hungry. And right now you are listening to the Sennheiser MKH50 unprocessed raw. None of my presets. You are hearing the mic as it's recording my voice. And right now you're hearing the Audio-Technica AT4053B unprocessed. And now we're going to switch back to the Sennheiser, completely processed using all of my presets. How does it sound? Now let's compare that to the Audio-Technica processed using all of my presets. Do you hear a big difference? Do you hear that, what is it, $600 difference or so? To my ears, I hear a dramatic difference. The Sennheiser is a more flattering mic in my opinion. It gives you that nice deep low rumble while maintaining really good mids and giving you a flattering boost on the highs. The Audio-Technica is also a fantastic microphone, hands down. If you're on the budget, the Audio-Technica is kind of well known at this point as being a great intermediate but serious professional indoor boom microphone. Now, build quality on the Audio-Technica versus the Sennheiser, there's also a big difference. The Sennheiser is bulletproof. It's also known. Sennheisers are just known, the 416 and the MKH50, for being tanks, being able to reject a lot of RF frequencies. If you're in a humid climate, you would grab the 416. The MKH50 is no different. The Audio-Technica, however, I personally never had this problem, but I have heard from other audio engineers that I know personally, as well as online on the internet, that it can have some radio interference. Some RF frequencies might get through. There's a person that I talked to where he was in an office environment shooting a corporate interview, and unfortunately, just, based on the office environment, Wi-Fi, all these cell phones and so forth. And I think he was shooting at a defense company that was also testing some RF interference, in like a lab environment. He got basically the worst interference with the Audio-Technica. It ruined the entire, audio samples. Luckily, he was monitoring everything, and he so happened to have the MKH50 on hand. I don't know why he wasn't using the MKH50 to begin with, but he put it up, he boomed it, and he no longer had any RF interference. So take that for whatever it is, but Sennheiser is kind of well known for that, as well as working very well in humid environments. They're just built to work. So I wanted to do this video because I wanted you guys to hear the big price difference here. The audio quality. Are you getting that extra dramatic audio improvement by paying $600-700 more? And that's subjective. You're going to have to decide that. For me, yes. I've been wanting the Sennheiser 50 for a long time. I've tested out the Sennheiser MKH50 and I knew that I liked it. Couldn't afford it just yet, so the Audio-Technica AT4053B was a perfect microphone to hold me over until then. And honestly, now that I have a 50, I'm still going to be using the Audio-Technica. There's a place for both of them. They have different sounds. I've found personally that the MKH50 does really well on male vocals, that you want to kind of bring out that rumble. And it's also personally very flattering to my voice. I like the way that it flatters my voice. It brings out the details that I want it to bring out. Very little EQing is involved. I've also found that it works really well with female voices. It just sort of has this, like, I don't know, this frequency band or whatever Sennheiser's doing to give it that Sennheiser flavor that's just flattering. That's how I would describe it, just very flattering. The Audio-Technica also sounds really good. I have to EQ it a little bit more, and I have a preset that I've designed for my Audio-Technica for my specific voice. But I've also found that the Audio-Technica just kind of is generally more flattering for people that have like that muddy voice or a lot of middle frequencies that stand out. It's sort of a little bit more flatter. I don't find that the Audio-Technica has too much of like a flavor built into it, right? It's a little bit flatter, and it's dependent on you to do what you got to do in post. If I find myself working with someone that has that muddy voice, those middle frequencies, and I want to tame them a bit, but I'm unsure. The flat profile, the flat frequency response with the Audio-Technica usually gives me a good starting ground. Always monitor with headphones live as you're recording the talent. And usually you can tell within a couple of takes if the mic suits them or not. If you are considering buying the 4053B, do it. If you have the dough for it, get it used. I got it used. It's been great. It's built like a tank. It's just a great YouTuber, serious videographer, indoor dialogue microphone. You will not regret it. And if your dream is to get something of higher quality like the Sennheiser MKH50, great. Save up your money. Justify it as you're building your client work and you're starting to make a name for yourself. Save up that money and get the MKH50. Full disclosure, in a professional environment, I'm taking both of them along with my 416, my Sennheiser 416, and I'm going to try them all out with the talent to figure out what works best. I've been kind of gravitating towards, as you kind of should, the MKH50 for me, or the Audio-Technica 4053B, is my indoor mic, my indoor dialogue mic. We're going to boom them 9 times out of 10 if we're doing indoor work. The Sennheiser 416 is built for outdoor work. It can be used indoors, and because of the interference tube, it can be very, very precise and reject a lot of sound. But the key is you also need to soundproof the areas. So if you have a lot of reflections because of that interference tube, you can actually get some of those reflections bouncing back into the tube, causing phasing, and you can even get that outdoors if you're in an echoey environment. For example, I was doing a talking head for one of my barbecue videos on my other channel, my cooking channel, and you can actually hear the phasing. This is a perfect example of phasing because where I had the mic placed and where I was talking was under this like canopy like thing, and the walls were too close, so my voice was echoey. I could hear it live. It was echoey. It was bouncing off of things. And as I was recording it, I was like, wait, this might be a perfect opportunity to show an example of what phasing sounds like, even outdoors with a proper shotgun mic with an interference tube. And I actually wasn't even using the 416. I wasn't even using a Sennheiser mic. I think I was using the DDD3, which actually has a shorter interference tube, but still got phasing. If you're like me, not only do you love to barbecue, but you like to barbecue on Weber kettles, and in particular, rotisseries. And you're probably looking for a Weber rotisserie to attach onto that kettle, but they're all fairly expensive. Well, I may have found the perfect aftermarket attachment. So if you're like me, you love barbecue, and in particular on the Weber kettle. So you're probably looking for a great aftermarket kettle rotisserie attachment that doesn't break the bank. So that's how I use my mics. You can use the 416 for indoor work. Definitely works great, but you have to be a little bit more conscious of phasing. With these pencil small condenser mics like the MKH50 and the Audio-Technica 4053B, they're not really going to have that phasing issue because the capsule is just so small. You don't have the interference tube to cause any of that. But they're also not as directional as the 416 or a shotgun mic just by design. So Figure out what you want, figure out what you need. I think a 416 is probably going to be your best overall microphone. You can use it for indoor dialogue. You can use it for indoor YouTube talking heads if you sound treat properly. Just get familiar with the mic and know where the limitations are. But eventually, I think if you're going to get that indoor dialogue, and especially that Dark Knight, Breaking Bad sound, the MKH50 is a great mic because it's just so flattering. Sennheiser in general, I find Sennheiser to be very flattering to my voice, and it may not be very flattering to your voice. You have to figure that out. But if you want to test out indoor small condenser pencil microphones, check out the Audio-Technica. That's it for me, guys. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, or informative, please consider subscribing and joining our channel membership so we can continue making videos like this one. I'll catch you in the next one.